Hey guys, I've got quite a heavy topic for you guys today, but it's something that I'm just very, very adamant about. And I know how important it is to address this topic because of all of the manipulation and all of the forming of the American mind that comes from these sort of tragedies that have happened this week in April of the United States. And if you're not from the United States, this video will likely not have as much to mean. It won't mean as much to you as it does to me, as an American, as a young thinker, as a young independent thinker that doesn't rely on the bullshit that's given to me by the news and by politicians. This is the opinion that I formed by having a rational view of the world around me, based on the logical facts that are presented to me by non-biased organizations. And when I say non-biased, I'm not talking about Fox News and CNN and MSNBC and all this other horseshit that works to corrupt you and tell you how to think and all this kind of shit. They try to add emotional appeal to all these bad things that happen in our country because they want to form you to get your vote, to change the way you think about a group of people so you can stand by their agenda and be blind, deaf, and dumb to the true things that are happening in the United States and the world around you. And you can live in your sheltered lifestyle in your little American suburb with the white picket fence and the American flag and the dog and a son and a daughter. It's bullshit. So, I'm not downplaying the, importance of coverage of terrorist attacks on the United States. But you have to look at it with a certain amount of equality and allow for moments to be interpreted with logical response and not your emotions. Why does the news focus on the Boston bombing? It's very simple. It's emotional to an American that isn't desensitized like myself. I look at the numbers, not at the tragedy. I look at the facts and not what my head tells me to think because I'm a human and I have emotion. I looked at the Boston bombing, I said, 3 people dead. That's been the confirmed death toll, basically. It's 3 people dead, and a couple dozen wounded. Okay? And what about this explosion in Waco, Texas? That's not getting any news coverage at all, really. I mean, it's not even on really the front page of any news. If you go on the front page of a news source, especially a US-based one, legitimately every single headline has to do with Boston. Boston subject. Boston, Boston tapes, Boston pictures, Boston. You want to see stuff on Waco, you have to search. You have to look into it. And why is that the case? 5 times as many people died already. That's already been confirmed. And we all know that with these kind of accidents and these kind of tragedies, the death toll rises. It happened with the Boston Marathon. At first they said there was 2, now there's 3. Proportionately, that's 33% more. Or, something like that, okay? But when it comes to Waco, when it comes to, this West Texas, fertilizer plant that blew up because of an accident, that killed 5 times as many people, imagine 33% extra on that. That'd be a much more significant number of people. Okay, that'd be, closer to 20. It'd be 20 people. And the effects of this bomb, this explosion, were not just felt by the people in the fertilizer plant. People felt it up to 50 to 75 miles away. They felt it. It magnified on the Richter scale as a 2.1 earthquake. It's a fucking earthquake-sized explosion. You've seen the videos of it. You see the shockwave. You see the busted glass of the truck they're recording the video from. You see the destroyed, absolutely leveled power plant. You see a school no more than 1,500 feet away. You see a nursing home in such a close proximity, and yet we don't care. We don't care because the news and politicians, that's not on their agenda. What do they want you to care about? They want you to care about these Chechen Muslims that actually have nothing to do with the United States. Their main problems with the Russian Kremlin, and if anything. And what do we see as United States citizens? Is we see the coverage of 3 dead people killed by a terrorist attack and not coverage on the 15 plus counting dead in West Texas. In addition to this, the same day, the same exact day in Iraq, there was 51 to 55, depending on the source, people killed in car bombs because of the upcoming presidential election in Iraq. There's people getting killed by bombs every day in Syria. There's people that die every day to drunk driving. There's people that die every day to lung cancer, obesity, bad health care, all this stuff that is so avoidable, but that's not what the government hooks in on, because that's not promising. That's not going to give them votes. What's going to give them votes? Rally around me. This is, the America that I shield you with. This is your protective blanket. Put it on. I have you covered. But when you look at the, the other people on the other side of the world, what are they? Oh, they're another culture. We don't care about them. Well, if you didn't care about them, then why do we ever take war to their footstep in the first place? Okay? This is absolute manipulation and propaganda used by the government. Why do you think they don't cover the important things? Did you even know there was an earthquake in Iran that killed dozens of people this week? Did you? You didn't until I told you. And if you don't believe me, you can look it up. What do they want you to hear about? 3 dead in a bombing. I'm not downplaying how sad it is. I'm saying you have to look at it with some perspective. More people die in a minute than people died in that bombing. More people died in past bombings and past terrorist attacks that we have now forgotten about because their political importance is so overdone and so stretched that people finally got to the point where they said, I don't want to hear about this anymore. Why is this 3-month-old news story still in the news? That's what politicians do. They are the masters of beating a dead horse. It's pathetic that this is even the case. That we allow this to happen. That we allow ourselves as Americans, when we are supposed to have all these constitutional freedoms and all these things to protect us, to let ourselves be manipulated by people that aren't any better than us. I'm going to go out and say it right now, that the majority of the people watching this video are probably smarter than the news anchors that are covering the story that's been told and beaten and beaten and beaten to a pulp for the last, 4 days? And then the Waco bombing, or the Waco Explosion. That was 2 or 3 days ago by the time you're watching this video. And you know what? That's nowhere. And absolutely, definitely nowhere are the dozens and, 10 times the amount, 20 times the amount of people that are killed by explosions that rock the foundation of Iranian and the culture of Iraq. All these kind of things that happen around the world, and you're oblivious to it because that's not what American government and politics and news want you to hear. It's bullshit. It's manipulation. It's utter political bullshit at its finest, and it's sad. It's sad that we live in a world with such diluted fact and such diluted information that you can't even know if what you're getting is accurate because there's a political agenda behind it. So this is my soapbox, guys. I just wanted to get this out to you. I want you to know that while I'm certainly not trying to tell you how to think or, trying to influence you, everything I just said is factual. Everything I just said statistically is true. Know that the death toll in the Middle East and all over the world, thousands of people die of starvation every day. But does the government run on planks that have to do with starvation? No. Look at what they talk about when they run for president and senator and representative, even mayor. Oh, I want to drop the crime rates. The president, I want to drop the terrorism. But what don't they worry about is the more important stuff. Oh, I'm president. What am I going to do? I'm going to put in policy that will help starving children in our inner cities and on the outskirts, the rural parts of our most, outdated and poor parts of the country. No, what do they run on? They run on the notion of terrorism because it plays at your heartstrings. How any person can be such an asshole to think that 3 people are more important than thousands of children dying around the world. Slow, painful deaths from starvation and dehydration. Lack of proper medical care. These people can't even get flu shots. They can't get medicine. They can't get antibiotics. You have a stomach ache and you want some Pepto? Drive 5 minutes to the corner store. You have a stomach ache and you're in Africa, or you're in a poor part of America, poor part of Mexico, poor part of any place in the world. And guess what? That stomach ache might just be deadly. That stomach ache might stay with you for a week and you will die a slow and painful death. But what does the government want you to hear? They want you to hear about this bombing in Boston because of its political backdrop. And that's why everyone is blaming each other. And so finally, the background of the bomber came out, everyone was blaming each other. That's bullshit. This is 2013. Grow some balls and address the real fucking problems.